All right. Welcome back. You're on with the Ox. I haven't seen you guys in a couple of weeks. I had to go out of town. I just want to, before I get started on this show, I just want to give a great shout out to one of my greatest friends and best people I ever met in my life is my Uncle John, who went to a different place, but just want to let him know that I love him. I'll always love him. He was a great guy. But we've had some unbelievable football the last couple of weeks. And you got some teams that are supposed to be unbelievable that are kind of disappointing. And you got some teams that nobody was really expecting that are doing very, very well. So we're just going to touch really quick on some of those teams, okay? I know the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs are going to be fine. They're one of the teams that, who cares? They're 3-3, doesn't matter, okay? The Cowboys, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about them, but we'll talk about them in a couple of minutes because I got a lot to say about them. Cleveland, I think, sucks. And I said it a couple of weeks ago, and then they went out and they had this big, wonderful, wonderful game. And I got a lot of feedback from that from Cleveland people, which you always do, okay? Cleveland definitely protects Cleveland, okay? Doesn't really matter. But you know what? Not for nothing. I think your coach is overmatched. And your quarterback talks too much. He just does. And then you got the TNT factor, which is Odell Beckham Jr., who's going to implode, man. It's going to happen. You got to win, and he's happy. If you don't, sorry, boys, you're going down. But you got a lot of dogs on that defense too. So you guys got to start playing better. And then you trade off your first pick of the second round from last year for nothing, for a fifth-round pick yesterday. Doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. Everybody thinks John Dorsey is this unbelievable GM. You know what? He got fired from Kansas City because he couldn't keep his mouth shut. So, I don't know. I hope you win because I have family in that town. But I don't know. I think it's going to be a long year. Next year might be better. We'll see. But, excuse me. Detroit, I actually think, is a really good team. I do. I think they got totally hosed on Monday night. In fact, I got an email, our first email, from I believe she's a girl from Michigan. Her name is C.J. Roderick James. All hyphens. Not really sure about the hyphens, so could be a high-maintenance person. But she wants to know if I think, that the refs are biased against Detroit or are they just so pro Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. And the funniest thing, at the end of her email, she says, I go both ways. Now, I don't know how to take that. Does that mean, because back in the day, 50 years ago, like a player would play center on one side and middle linebacker on the other, same player. So, I gotta ask my producer, a T-Bone, what do you think that actually means?
I think it means that she likes girls and guys. I don't think it has anything to do with football.
Oh, so we're getting that type of demographic on this show? All I'm going to tell you, the Ox loves all. We love all. I mean, that's not a problem. I don't care. I was raised very strict Roman Catholic, but that doesn't bother me at all. I'm an open-minded free thinker. But to answer your question, yes, I think the refs are against Detroit. That is my answer. But I think you're a good team, and I think you're gonna do very, very well this year. But now Green Bay is so far ahead, and Minnesota's starting to heat up, and I think Chicago might not make it, but I would hang in there. I think you got a good coach, and you got a lot of talent on your team. But, hey, thanks for the email, C.J. Roderick James. My God, does she sign her checks like that? That's an awful long name. It's like a royal name. What is she? Maybe she's from England. You think she's from England and she's transplanted in the middle of Michigan? What do you think, T-Bone?
Think they're like American football over there?
Well, they play. They play like 3 or 4 games over in England. Maybe she got hooked. Maybe she got hooked on Detroit and decided just to leave that English lifestyle. You gotta have. I mean, that's such a regal name. Oh my goodness gracious! But keep them coming. And by the way, so everybody knows, it's theoxpodcast at Gmail. So keep bringing your questions. We'll answer them. If you send them, we'll answer them. Okay, so let's move on to, excuse me, the Jets-Cowboys game, which I watched that game. I watched that game with a house full of Jet fans. That was a fun game. And the thing that bothered me the most about that game was the announcing. And the announcer was Tony Romo. First of all, Tony Romo should not be announcing Cowboy games. He should be like Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman, says it how it is. This guy said in that game that the Jets it's been so long since the Jets have had anything to root for. Not for nothing, Ace, but what did you ever win? You haven't won nothing. You were the biggest choke artist in the league for years. I think you finally won one, maybe two playoff games. Come on, dude, give me a break. And first of all, I think you're the most overrated announcer out there. Everything's like, ooh, he's going to do this, Jim. He's going to do this. Every announcer knows that. Everybody that played your position knows that. Why do you got to be a topper? All right? Who cares? What are you, the smartest guy on the planet? I think you're a jerk-off, okay? But the one thing I will say is that your wife is absolutely stunning. She is gorgeous. She is one of the hottest girls on the planet. So obviously you got something going for you. But I think you suck anyways.
So do you think she's as beautiful as the girl upstairs you always talk about?
Are you talking about Susan from upstairs? Oh, dude, I got to tell you a quick story. Okay, I know we're going off topic, okay? But I saw her in the laundry room the other day. So I came in with my laundry, and she's actually in the dryer taking out her clothes. And I don't know if you noticed, but that girl wears like very little clothes. I mean, she's barely wearing anything, okay? And I'm like, oh my God, this is like, forget about it. This is like a dream come true, okay? And she turns around and she looks at me, and thank God, T-Bone, I was holding a basket of laundry in front of me, because it would have been completely awkward. I'm telling you, man. I felt like I was in the 9th grade again, when the bell rings and you don't realize it, and you're like, you got to walk down the hall holding your books a little different than everybody else. I mean, whew. But, oh my God, that image is just outrageous, man. But, I don't want to get off topic. I know this is a football show, but I just had to share that with you, because I'm telling you, man, I can't sleep at night. I haven't been able to sleep since I did my laundry. All right, but getting off that, let's talk about some of the great games this past week. It was probably the worst game on the schedule, but the Miami Redskin game, I thought it was great. Brian Flores, first-year coach, he feels secure in his job. His team fights back with Fitzmagic back again, and they could have kicked the extra point to tie it with. I don't think there was any time left on the clock, and he decides to go for two. Didn't work out. The play call was a little suspect, but you got to like a guy like that, man. Just why play for a tie, man? Let's just go win it. I mean, I like that kind of stuff. A couple guys did that last year. I know what's his name, Frank Reich did it, and it turned his whole team around. He's a great coach, Frank Reich. I really do. I think he's just a level-headed guy, always has been. He's been in the league forever. But good stuff. Some guys I didn't think did well. I mean, I'm not going to harp on the same guy I harped on last time, but I don't think the Saints coach did himself any favors, at least in my eyes. But I feel bad for Bruce Arians. I mean, he's calling all the right plays, and I don't know, Jameis Winston just keeps throwing interceptions, 5 interceptions. I mean, 5 interceptions, and they were in the game in the last 2 minutes. I mean, that's got to kill a coach. I mean, just take care of the ball. I don't know if I agree with the fact that they went with their putting Mariota on the bench in Tennessee. I don't know. Mariota doesn't make mistakes. Okay, maybe the play calling's a little off. I think it's more coaching than the player itself, which is interesting because Winston and Mariota were drafted 1 and 2 5 years ago, and neither one of those guys might be getting an extension with their original team that drafted them, but they'll get work. That's for sure. Other than that, I think Andy Reid didn't really have a good game. Maybe it's the defense. I know Spags is the defensive coordinator out there. He was with the Giants. He did a lot of good things with the Giants. But just going around the league, I mean, a lot of it has to do with these refs now. I mean, we talked earlier about the Detroit thing. The Giant game last Thursday. People forget about that game. Golden Tate would have probably caught that ball, but Gilmore, who is one of the best, if not the best, cornerbacks in the league, he gets a lot of leeway. He really does. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that things are planned out. I'm really not. I just think that these guys have a lousy job, these referees. And they're all young because all of them leave because for some reason, I don't really find it attractive to watch a game that has a referee in the booth. I really don't. I mean, we know the rules. I've been watching football since I was, 10 years old. Okay, and I'm 24 now, but that 14 years, I learned a lot of stuff. I'm not 24. I'm 25, but yeah, I mean, it's a crappy job. It is. It's. I think I've said it before. It's a part-time job. Yeah, maybe it's a nice paying part-time job, but these guys, they all bail out. They all bail out to the booth, and the ones that are in the booth are the worst. They're the worst of the worst, but they're cashing in. Good for them. I give them credit for that. But we had some trades yesterday, which were pretty incredible. I thought the Rams are a mover and a shaker. They are going all in. They traded one of the cornerbacks who I think is on the last legs, and then they went for the big trade, 2 number 1s and a 4 for Jalen Ramsey. Yeah, Jalen's a good player, man. I don't think he's as good as Gilmore, but he's pretty darn good. But he's kind of a ticking time bomb sometimes. But for the most part, he's a local guy. He lives up there in Nashville. He grew up in Nashville, and he's big and he's fast. He's got all that good stuff. So the Rams are going in, but I like their coach. Their coach is cool, man. That guy is cool. It's started the whole trend of these young head coaches, whether it's him, the kid in Cincinnati, I think his last name is Taylor, and you got the guy in San Francisco is doing very, very well. What's his name? His father was the coach of Denver. Can you help me out there, T-Bone? Who's the coach? Oh, Shanahan. And you got the guy from Chicago. You got a bunch of young coaches, and I think they're all pretty squared away. They seem extremely organized, and I think that's the way this league is going to be going. But McVay is the guy. But supposedly McVay worked under Kyle Shanahan in Washington, or it might have been I think it was Washington. So, yeah, I mean, these guys are movers and shakers for such young guys. I mean, when I say young guys, these guys are not even in the late 30s. I mean, they're in their mid-30s, which is pretty cool. All right, not harping on the referees, okay? But my research staff came up to me and told me there's now, in all the referees in the NFL, there is actually one female referee, okay? And what they told me is that it's supposedly a scientific fact. I'm not sure. But women have a greater peripheral vision than men. They can see left and right farther than men. So my solution could be, let's get more female referees into the league. And the more we get, well, then maybe we could change the uniforms.
Like make them wear bikinis and stuff?
Oh, come on, T-Bone. Grow up. You can't do that. No, halter tops, maybe some yoga pants. I think they'd be fine with that. But as long as they do a better job, who cares? Who cares? You know? But I swear to God, my crack staff, they swear by it. They say it is a fact. They have better peripheral vision. All right. Let's get into those picks. Obviously, I didn't do a very good job the last time around. I won 5 and I lost 9. And he's not really my friend, but I guess he would call him an associate, Frankie Knows and a Half. He's been on the lookout for me because I owe him some money. I did that week. But last week, I picked 15 games and I went 15-0.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
I'm going to even make it even better. Not only did I go 15-0, I guessed every single score correctly. I am like the amazing Kreskin that week, the luck of the Irish, whatever you want to call it. But in terms of picking games, it was the best week of my career. It really, really was. But we're going to pick this week, and we'll see if people believe that I went 15-0. Okay? We're going to start with tomorrow night's game, which will be Thursday. It's Kansas City at Denver, and Kansas City is giving 4.5 points to Denver. I got to tell you, Thursday night, short week, you might think I'm crazy there, T-Bone, but I'm taking Denver. I am. I'm telling you, man. They're coming around. They're getting used to their new coach, so they're doing it, man. They're going to do it. No question. No question. Okay, here we go. Sunday. Oh, my goodness gracious. The Los Angeles Rams, with all their stuff they did this week, are going to Atlanta. And the Rams are favored in Atlanta by 3.5 points. I'm betting the whole farm on Atlanta on this one. Are you kidding me? And I actually have a farm, so I can bet it. But man, no way. You switched out your defensive backs. Matty Ice is on a roll, man. I know because he's my fantasy quarterback. He's won me the last 2 weeks. Oh, forget it. So that's a lock. That's my lock of the week. Okay, then you got Miami going to Buffalo. Miami's getting 16.5 points. 16.5 points. Aren't they pros here? How do you give somebody 16.5 points? But they're going to Buffalo. But I don't think Buffalo's that good yet. But I think they're good. So I'm taking Miami. No question. Okay, Jacksonville is going to Cincinnati and is favored by 3.5, and they just traded Jalen Ramsey. I mean, I don't know. Doug Marrone is the coach of Jacksonville. He's a Throgs Neck Bronx guy. I never met him, but I worked with a lot of people that did. I'm going with Cincinnati. He sounds like a buffoon to me. Oh, here's one for the girl with all the hyphens. What's her name? What's her name again? C.J. Roderick James? Yeah. Oh, my God. Whether she's from Detroit or maybe she's from London, I'm not really sure. But they got a home game against Minnesota, and Minnesota's getting a point. Minnesota's getting a point after what happened to Detroit. Detroit went and kicked Green Bay's butt in Lambeau Field. I'm going to go with the girl with the hyphens on this one. I really am. Whether she goes both ways or not, who knows? And I think the last guy that went both ways played for the Detroit Lions. I think it was, what's his name? Alex Karras, I think.
You mean defense and offense he played, or?
Well, he's a big guy. I don't want to upset him. I'm going to say defense and offense. Please, that guy will walk through his garage door and kick the crap out of my producer. Then we got Oakland going to Green Bay. Johnny Gruden going back. That's where he started his whole career in Green Bay. He's getting 6.5 points. Oof. I'm gonna go Green Bay at Lambeau again. I can't believe it. Okay, the Houston Texans. Did you, T-Bone, did you know I lived in Houston, Texas when I was a kid?
I did, yeah.
Oh, how'd you know that?
You told me.
Oh, was I drinking at the time?
Probably. I mean, it's a rarity I don't catch you drinking, but.
Oh, well, thank God you only spend 1 hour a week with me. The Texans is a pick'em at Indianapolis. I don't know if the gosh, I got to tell you, though, that Deshaun Watson is unbelievable. He really is. But, Marlon Mack is back this week. They got a good coach. I'm taking a lot of home teams, which I don't really like to do, but I think I'm going to take the Indianapolis coach. Now, I'm definitely going to take this home team this week. It's the NYG, New York Football Giants, at home against the Arizona Cardinals, and we're giving them 3 points. That's not really. Have you seen this young kid play?
Arizona?
Yeah. You can't catch him, man. He's unbelievable. He's like, I don't know. I don't know what he's like, but he's slick. He's fast. But I'm still taking the G-man. Now, the 49ers are at Washington, and they're giving Washington at home 9.5 points. I think I got to take the 49ers because I don't think they can score on them. The 49ers defense is for real, man. It's becoming the best defense in the league, I think. Okay, San Diego going to Tennessee. It's a pick'em game. Whew. Nashville. Fun town. I got to tell you, I think I got to take the San Diego Chargers. I think there's something, quarterback change, all that kind of nonsense. The Saints are going to Chicago, and they're getting 3.5. Now, I like Teddy Bridgewater over Trubisky, for sure. And New Orleans defense is good. I'm not saying it's as good as Chicago, but, you shouldn't be, no, Saints. So that's my fourth road team. Baltimore at Seattle, +4. This is what, the Earl Thomas game. He plays for Baltimore now. He's a safety. He's the guy that gave Pete Carroll the finger when he got hurt last year when he was getting carried off the field. Yeah, well, no wonder why you don't play for Seattle anymore. So I'm going to take Seattle because Russell Wilson played against that guy every day in practice, and I don't think he's overrated. I just don't think he's as good as he once was. Philly, +3 at Dallas.
Your favorites.
Oof, I know. This is like, what am I going to do? I'm going to shoot up heroin or smoke crack. I mean, if I want to just ruin my life, I hate this pick. But I hate Dallas at this particular time more than I hate Philly. So I'm going to take Philly on the road at Dallas. Carson Wentz is going to have a big game. Okay, you heard that from me first. Even though, your beard, you kind of look like Carson Wentz, but you don't have the neck acne that guy has. That guy has the worst neck acne. It's like gross. They're not even, it's not like pimples. It's like boils. It's disgusting.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah, they show it up close. It's not good. Anyways, okay, but let's bring us to Monday night. Monday night at the Meadowlands. Well, they call it MetLife, but I'm still going to call it Meadowlands, being a 26-year season ticket holder. They should have never torn that stadium down, but that's for another day. The Jets are getting 10 points with the big bad Patriots coming to town. Okay, this is going to be my wild card of the week. Jets aren't going to win. I know that. But I think they're playing well, and their young defense is coming around. So I'm going to take the NYJ, New York Jets, to cover against the New England Patriots on Monday night. But that one could backfire. But we'll see what happens.
You're taking the Jets over New England?
Well, I'm getting 10 points, bro. That's 10 points. 10 points. 10 points. Come on. Wake up. Smell the roses. Those are my picks. So we're going to sign off. I know it's a little shorter than it was last week, but there's been a lot going on. So we'll talk to you next week. And keep those emails coming. All right, guys. Bye.